I never thought I'd be one of those people posting about this. You read these stories online, shake your head, and think, man, that sucks, but I'd see it coming. Turns out you never do. I've been married for 8 years. My wife, Erin, is 33. I'm 35. No kids, just a dog and a mortgage we used to joke would outlive us. We met in college, stayed together through job changes, moves, family drama, all of it. We were one of those couples people pointed at and said, they're solid. At least, that's what I thought. It started small. She got this new job earlier this year, marketing for a mid-sized company. Nothing unusual. She liked it. She liked her coworkers, and she especially liked her new manager, Ryan. She mentioned him casually in stories. Nothing weird at first. Ryan's a perfectionist. Or, Ryan's funny, he actually gets sarcasm. I didn't think much of it. I'm not the jealous type. But over time, his name came up more and more. Then came the late nights. At first, it made sense. New job, new expectations. But it went from staying late to finish a campaign once in a while to 3 or 4 times a week. She'd come home tired, take a shower, crawl into bed, and say, "You're already asleep?" I'd mumble, "Just waiting for you," and she'd kiss my forehead like I was a kid. The first real red flag wasn't even about her behavior. It was about how normal she tried to make it sound. One Friday, she texted me, "Hey, team's grabbing drinks, might be late." Cool, fine. I told her to have fun. She came home at midnight, smelled like whiskey and perfume, her hair a little messy. She laughed when she saw me still up. "You're such a dad," she said. But the thing that stuck with me? Her lipstick was gone, but her perfume was stronger. I didn't say anything that night. But something in me clicked on. That quiet, awful radar you can't turn off once it activates. 2 weeks later, I was on her laptop. Not snooping, I swear. Just looking for a photo we took on a trip because mine got deleted. I opened messages by accident. Her iCloud was synced. At the top was a name I didn't recognize. R. And I swear, my stomach knew before my brain did. The first thing I saw was a message from her that said, "I miss you already. Tonight felt too short." I froze. My heart started pounding so hard I could hear it. I scrolled up. There wasn't anything explicit, not at first. Just playful banter, inside jokes, little check-ins. Then, as I kept scrolling, it turned into "I wish you were here. Still thinking about last night? You make me feel like I used to." That one wrecked me. You make me feel like I used to. I stopped reading. Closed the laptop. Sat there in silence for at least an hour. She came home later that night, humming to herself, a little drunk. I watched her take off her coat and toss her bag onto the chair, the same chair where she used to drop it after coming home from work and telling me about her day. Now I couldn't even look at it. "Hey," she said, "why are you up?" "Just couldn't sleep." She smiled, kissed my head again, and walked past me toward the shower. The same perfume. The same tired, long day, tone. And I just sat there, wondering if she'd been with him, wondering if the team drinks were ever real. When she came out, she looked lighter, happy even. I couldn't remember the last time she'd looked that way around me. The next morning, I tried to act normal. I made coffee, asked about her plans. She said she had a working brunch with Ryan. I looked at her, really looked. New makeup. The nice blouse she usually saved for events. "You seeing anyone else from work?" I asked. She blinked. "Just a few people." "Why?" "Just wondering." She kissed me goodbye like nothing was wrong. And I let her go. That day I didn't do anything. I didn't confront her. I didn't call anyone. I just sat with it. You think when you find out someone's cheating, you'll explode, yell, throw things, demand answers. But the truth is quieter. It's like someone's turned the world's volume down. You go through motions. Feed the dog. Wash the mug. Check your phone every 5 minutes even though you don't know what you're waiting for. And then the real pain starts to settle, not from what they did, but from the fact that it's already over. Because if they could do this, the version of them you loved isn't coming back. That night, she texted again, "Running late, don't wait up." Same as always. I didn't reply. I opened her laptop again instead. Not to read. Just to see. Her last message to him said, "I hate lying to him. But when I'm with you, it feels like breathing again." I closed it, shut off the lights, and sat in the dark. I didn't know what I was going to do. But I knew one thing for sure. This time, I wasn't going to wait for her to come home. I didn't sleep that night. You don't, when your whole life suddenly feels like a lie. You lie there in the dark, your brain looping the same thought like a bad song. How long? How long has it been like this? By morning, I'd made up my mind. I wasn't going to keep living in limbo. I needed to see it for myself, not to catch her, but to know what I was actually holding on to. That Saturday, she told me she had to run some errands and meet a friend for lunch. I said, "Sure," kissed her cheek, and watched her leave like any other day. Except this time, I didn't stay home. I waited 20 minutes, then grabbed my keys and followed. Yeah, I know how that sounds, pathetic, obsessive, but when your gut tells you something's off, it's never wrong. She drove across town, parked near a coffee shop. I parked down the street, far enough not to be noticed. A few minutes later, he showed up. Ryan. Tall, too polished, that management confidence that always looks like flirting. He walked straight to her car. She got out. They hugged, not a work hug. A slow, familiar one. The kind that lasts a second too long and says everything words won't. They went inside together, and I just sat there in my car, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white. It wasn't rage. Not yet. It was this horrible calm, like watching someone else's life fall apart through a window. After about half an hour, they came out laughing. She touched his arm. He touched her back. Then they kissed. Just a small, easy practice kiss, like it wasn't their first. Like they'd done it 100 times before. My whole body went numb. I didn't honk, didn't yell, didn't get out of the car. I just watched her, the woman I'd built a life with, standing there smiling in the sunlight with another man like she'd never known me at all. And in that moment, something inside me stopped. You always imagine that finding out will break you, but it doesn't. It just switches something off. You stop begging reality to be kind. She came home that evening, pretending everything was fine. She smelled like that same damn perfume, sweet and sharp. She asked, "How was your day?" I said, "Quiet." She smiled. "Mine too." And I just stared at her, at how easily she lied, how normal she sounded. When she went to take a shower, I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the counter where she'd left her phone. I could have gone through it, read every message, seen every picture. But I didn't. I didn't need to. The image of that kiss was enough. After her shower, she came out in pajamas, hair damp, skin glowing like she'd just washed the world off herself. "Are you okay?" she asked. "You've been quiet lately." That's the thing about cheaters. They always ask that. They want to make sure you're not about to ruin the fantasy. I looked at her for a long time. And then I said, "Who is he?" Her face changed instantly. The color drained out. She didn't even try to fake confusion. She just froze. "I saw you," I said, "at the coffee shop." She didn't move for several seconds. Then she sat down across from me, hand shaking. "I didn't want you to find out like that." I laughed, actually laughed. "Oh, and how exactly were you planning for me to find out?" She started crying. "It wasn't supposed to happen. I didn't mean." "Stop saying that," I snapped. My voice cracked. "You meant it every time you called him, every time you met up, every time you came home smelling like him and lied to my face." She covered her face with her hands and sobbed. But it didn't move me. For the first time, I didn't feel love or anger. Just empty. We sat there for hours. She tried to explain, the usual script. That it just started because she felt unseen. That he listened. That she didn't plan it. And maybe all of that was true. But none of it mattered anymore. I told her to leave. Not forever, just for the night. I couldn't look at her. She begged me to talk, said she didn't want it to end like this. "End?" I said. "It already ended. You just forgot to tell me." She cried harder. I didn't. She packed a bag quietly, stopping by the door. "I love you," she whispered. I didn't say it back. Because maybe I still did, but love wasn't the right word for what was left between us. When the door closed behind her, the silence hit me like a wave. I stood there for a long time, staring at the place where her shoes usually sat. Then I took her mug from the counter, the one that said, "Good morning, start with coffee," and threw it into the sink. It shattered, the sound echoing through the apartment. That was the first time I cried. Not for her, but for what she'd taken from us. For the life that used to feel so solid and real. And underneath all that pain, something else grew. Not hatred, not even grief. Just the realization that I'd been living next to a stranger, and she'd been kind enough to let me believe otherwise. She texted me the next day. "I'm sorry. I'll give you space. I never wanted to hurt you." I stared at the screen for a long time before typing back. "You already did." Then I turned my phone off and went outside. The air felt sharper than usual, cleaner somehow, like maybe the truth, for all its cruelty, had finally made room to breathe. It's been 6 months since that night. Sometimes it feels like it happened yesterday. Sometimes it feels like it happened to someone else entirely. She moved out a week after I confronted her. No screaming, no fights over who gets what. Just boxes, quiet apologies, and 1,000 things left unsaid. When she drove away, I stood by the window until her car disappeared around the corner. Then I sat on the floor and realized I didn't know what to do with myself. That's the strange thing about betrayal. It doesn't destroy you all at once. It lingers, seeps into everything, even the small routines, the empty space in the bed, the single toothbrush, the one coffee mug left in the cupboard. For a long time, I kept expecting to hear her key in the door, even after I changed the locks. The first month was survival mode. I worked, ate what I could, didn't talk to many people. Friends tried, they invited me out, offered the usual lines. "You'll meet someone better. Everything happens for a reason." I didn't want to meet anyone better. I just wanted to stop replaying the same scenes in my head. I couldn't stop wondering how long she'd known it was over for her. Was it the first time she texted him? The first time she lied about working late? Or the first time she came home, looked me in the eye, and said I love you when she didn't mean it anymore? You can drive yourself insane trying to find the exact moment love turns into guilt. One night, I went through the photos on my phone, us at concerts, birthdays, random selfies. I couldn't bring myself to delete them. Not out of hope. Out of respect. Those moments were real, even if the ending wasn't. It took me a while to understand that two things can be true at once. She loved me once. And she betrayed me later. Those truths don't cancel each other out. They just coexist in the same painful space. 2 months after she left, she called. I remember seeing her name on my screen and just staring at it for a full minute before answering. "Hey," she said. "Hey. I just wanted to know how you're doing." "I'm okay." A long pause. Then she said, "I think about you every day." "Then why did you do it?" I asked. My voice came out steadier than I expected. She sighed, the kind of sigh that sounds like a confession. "Because I wanted to feel wanted again. And I didn't know how to ask you for that without sounding desperate." That was it. No drama. No excuses. Just the ugliest, simplest truth. I didn't say anything for a while. Then I said, "You could have told me." "I know," she whispered. "I wish I had." We talked for maybe 20 minutes, about nothing important. When we hung up, I didn't feel relief or sadness. Just finality. Like we'd both stopped pretending there was anything left to fix. Since then, I've learned small lessons. That healing doesn't look like a movie montage. It's slow and consistent, messy. That sometimes closure isn't a conversation, it's acceptance. And that you can miss someone terribly and still be glad they're gone. People think forgiveness is something you give to the other person. It's not. It's what you give to yourself when you're tired of carrying what they did. I forgave her, eventually. Not because she deserved it, but because I needed the space where anger used to live. The last time I saw her was at a grocery store, months later. We both froze in the aisle, her holding a carton of milk, me holding a six-pack. She looked different, hair shorter, eyes softer. "Hey," she said. "Hey." We talked for a minute, weather, work, the safe topics. Then she said, "You look better." "So do you." Before leaving, she smiled a little. "I'm sorry again, Daniel." "I know," I said. "Me too." And that was it. No tears, no lingering glances. Just two people who used to be each other's world, standing in the cereal aisle, finally at peace. Now, when I think about her, I don't feel anger. I just feel gratitude in a strange way. She taught me that love isn't measured by how long it lasts, but by how honestly you face it when it's over. I don't check her social media. I don't wonder who she's with. I wake up early, walk the dog, make coffee. I even started taking photos for myself again, not for clients, not for work. Just for the quiet joy of catching light. Sometimes, when the sun hits just right, I think about how everything I lost gave me back something I didn't know I needed, myself. And that, I guess, is what's left after the truth.